Welcome to the Building Business Podcast powered by the Mount Pleasant Chamber of Commerce. Special thanks to the Charleston Radio Group for sponsoring the show. My name is Mike Compton. I'm currently your Chamber Marketing Chair and co-owner of Roombo Advertising. GoRoombo.com. We've got a great episode ahead of us, but first, I'm here with my co-host, Amanda Bunting-Coman. Say hello, Amanda.
Hi, everybody. I am Amanda Bunting-Coman, like Mike said, and I have a marketing company called Social ABCs, and I help businesses with their marketing.
She does a fantastic job. Does our marketing for the chamber.
Yes, I'm on the marketing committee for the chamber as well, and really enjoy helping plan this podcast.
Oh, it's a lot of fun, isn't it? We have a good time. Folks, we have a celebrity in the studio today. I'm not kidding. I'm a bit starstruck myself. We've got the one and only Carolyn Murray from Count On News 2 WCBD TV in Charleston.
I appreciate that.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow, what an introduction. Hardly the celebrity. When you said that, I turned around. I wanted to see who came in behind me. But,
you kidding?
But I appreciate that.
No way. Everybody lit up when you walked in the room today.
I don't know about that.
Heck yeah. I mean, I know my wife and I are fans. I try to do, actually, too many push-ups today to try to get on the health side. You are inspiring us to be healthy, by the way.
I appreciate that.
Uh-huh.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Why don't you start by giving us a little bit of background about yourself for those people who aren't familiar with Carolyn Murray?
All right. Well, thank you so much, Amanda, and I appreciate your good work. Known you for years, and you've done a really good job of keeping us connected in so many ways in the community. So it's good to sit next to you and right next to you, Mike, and across from you, Matt. So. Again, thank you for having me here. I am Carolyn Murray. I like to say that though I was not born in the Low Country, salt water runs through my veins. I was born in New York City, actually. My parents are natives of Charleston, but they moved to New York in 1966. And wouldn't you know it, there was a blizzard that year. So I ended up being born at home. My dad delivered me. How far back in my story did you guys want me to go? Because
hey, you can start as far back as you want.
Delivered you?
My dad delivered me because there was a blizzard. My parents didn't have a car.
That's a dad right there. I had dad goals, but he got me.
They sent my brother outside to look for the ambulance, but he fell asleep, actually fell asleep on the
During a blizzard?
During a blizzard with blankets around him or whatever. He nodded off for a second.
Yeah. Typical older brother already.
8 years older. The ambulance never made it to my parents' brownstones, so my dad had to deliver me. So somehow we made it back to Charleston. Like 3 years we lived in New York, and we moved to downtown Charleston around 69, 70, the corner of Cumming and Cannon Streets, and my parents owned a little small mom and pop store. So I say that to suggest and to clarify that I am such a Charleston girl. All of my formative education was through the public schools of Charleston. I went to Courtney for first grade, Albemarle, Rivers Middle School, and then to Burke High School. I went to the University of South Carolina, graduated in 1988, but I do want to get back to what happened the year before I graduated college, if that's okay.
Oh, my gosh.
So it was, and I say that because just being in this space right now, it reminds me of it. I was a journalism student at the University of South Carolina, and obviously, wanted to work in front of microphones in some capacity. And I went to WPAL radio station on Wapu Road on a Saturday and introduced myself to the general manager, Bill Saunders. Hi, I'd like to work in radio someday. And he was a bit of a curmudgeon, as some old, SAT word. And he sent me into the studio adjacent to where he was and said, I'm going to point to you. And when I point to you, I want you to read these public service announcements on air. And I'm like, what?
Wait,
I'm
right
a kid. And I'm like, all of a sudden, and this is before cell phones. So I couldn't even call my parents to say, I'm going to be on the radio or friends or anything. This thing is happening.
Hopefully you have quarters in your pocket or something.
Nothing. I am flying blind. So I go and I do that, and we actually do it for several hours. And he would come in periodically and he would talk to me. And so I spent an afternoon there, and he said, okay, you have some talent. You're hired. You're going to work for me this summer. And I did. I did an internship. At the end of the internship, he said, I'm going to hold your job for a year. When you graduate, you'll come and work for me as my news and public affairs director. That's how my career started in broadcasting.
Your first knock?
You're lucky.
My first knock.
So lucky.
My first knock.
That doesn't happen.
That's amazing.
Well, I know.
You didn't even graduate and you already had a job.
I had a job
prepared.
and I loved it. And I knew that this was what I wanted to do. I said it in my senior year at Burke High School that I wanted to actually be a news anchor. And so some 36 years later, I'm still waiting for someone to prove me wrong. I've somehow got that right. So that's
cool.
a lot. That was a lot.
Well, I'm still digesting the you're one of 6.
I'm one of 6.
Did your dad deliver anybody else?
No.
So you must be daddy's girl.
No,
like,
he said, you know what? I'm not going to mess this up. I got one done, one and done.
Oh, amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
That was a bit of a setup, but,
what did your parents do? I'm sorry.
So my father owned several mom and pop style stores and worked with his brother. They had a meat market that was very, very popular for years. Okay. Murray and Middleton's Meats. Then it was just Murray's Meats, and then it was Links and Meats. But primarily he worked at Cummins Engines.
Okay.
For probably 20, 30 years. He's now retired. He's also a minister.
No kidding.
He's a minister at Mount Moriah Missionary Baptist Church.
Oh, shout out
My
Mount
mother worked in domestic work for many, many years. But when we were older, she went back to school and got a nursing certificate and worked probably 25 years at MUSC before retiring.
Oh, my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Entrepreneurs and...
Yeah, very, very busy, very, very connected to the community in many different ways.
With 6 kids, too.
With 6 kids, so,
My gosh, that's amazing. Amanda, do you have anything that you wanted to bring up?
I know I put a lot out
No,
there.
that was a lot. I want to know more can you tell us a little bit how you shifted from radio to
how long
television?
Did that take? Probably not long, huh?
Not long.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked at WPAL for about 9 months.
Okay.
And then I started working at WMGL, and I did that for a few months. But I knew ultimately what I wanted to do was work in TV. And so while working at WMGL, which was a station in West Ashley, I started an internship at WCSC TV, Channel 5 on East Bay Street.
Okay.
So I would work at the radio station in the mornings, and then in the evenings, I did news and public affairs.
Yeah, okay.
So I would go to the television station at night, and I just did a lot of observation, but primarily I was an intern. And one day, the news director at WCSC, Don Feldman, came to me and said, I've been watching you work, and I know you've got a little bit of a hustle, working really hard. I want you to make a tape for me. And I said, okay, fine. So I'm kind of nervous, like, what does he want on this tape? I'm thinking he wants me to edit things together. And he says, no, I actually want you on the tape.
Oh, wow.
A resume tape. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so I got that job.
Nice.
So, yeah, it was very interesting. So I started...
First tape?
First tape.
You're getting
There's a lot of first
here.
yeah.
First tape.
So always seem to be in the right place at the right time.
Uh-huh.
And so the year was 1989, February 6th.
Okay.
It's the day that I started on air at WCSC TV as their sunrise anchor. And I did that for 12 years. Loved it. Loved it.
Morning person.
I'm sorry. What I should clarify is I worked sunrise, the morning shift, for about a year.
Okay.
And then I moved to the afternoons. And I've been working nighttime, afternoon, evening newscasts for 35 years.
So do you prefer the afternoon, evening, not the sunrise?
Well, I'm naturally a morning person. I love waking up, 4:30 in the morning, 3 in the morning.
What?
But
oh my gosh. No,
yeah.
Sorry.
That's how she does it all, Mike.
Wait,
well,
what time do you go to bed?
Generally 1:15 in the morning. That's almost always the time that I get in bed.
No
1:15
kidding.
a.m. Well, I do the 11
Yeah.
o'clock news.
Right.
So
Are there naps in between?
sometimes,
Trying to
like
figure
today,
this out.
this is normally I try to get in a nap between 11:30 12:30. It's like a good hour
Oh,
nap
we're
for
creeping
me.
in our nap time right now.
But I still, I still keep a bit of a hectic schedule. I still, I did not today because I was coming here, but yesterday, day before, I'm up at 4:30. I'm on that Ravenel Bridge by 6 a.m.
Okay.
and I will get in
You're
6 to
jogging.
8. I walk. I mean, get a little bit of a sprint in there,
Sure,
but
sure.
but yeah. So
That's
it's a
awesome.
lot. It's a lot.
It is.
But
What a great bridge, though. What a great walk.
oh my gosh,
I'm still
it
new.
gives me energy.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I think.
Oh, with the wind coming at you like
Mhm.
that and the height. It's just pretty.
Yeah,
It's
it
just
is.
really pretty.
It is.
We're lucky to live near it.
I agree.
Well,
I
I'm
agree.
still kind of honeymooning, 6, 7 years into it still.
Oh.
Well, you think about COVID, that didn't count. And
Right.
all that,
Well, I'll have to
It's a
get
great
you up there.
bridge.
We'll do it together
Yeah.
one day.
6 a.m., I'm there.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
there are 2 6 o'clocks. Yeah, one in the morning and one in the
6 p.m.
evenings. Yeah, I know. Yeah, so I had an amazing experience at Channel 5. Just to clarify that, I worked there 89 to 2001, and my
Wow.
so long to them was actually, I think, September 9th of 2001, right before.
Right before
And
9/11.
but I was on to my next adventure, which was WBBM TV in Chicago, and I started there September 13th of 2001. So really an incredible time in our nation's history to be in a really big television market, the number
Yeah.
3 market. Had an amazing experience. I worked at WBBM for 2 years, and there was a big layoff. It was a CBS station, laid off about 30 of us at one time. But I fortunately had maintained really good relationships in Charleston. And so I wanted to, just like Dorothy, do nothing but come back home. And so I did, but this time at a different station, WCBD TV. And I started there September 29th of 2003.
Dang. Okay.
Is that right?
I
Yes,
don't know.
2003.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm
Over
coming up
20
on my
years.
21st
Coming up.
year
Oh, my God.
at the end of this month.
Did they throw you a
Oh.
20th party?
They did a really big shebang,
bet.
which took my breath away, and I was completely surprised by
Aw.
it on air. And yeah, one of the greatest gifts ever given to me was seeing people who I love and people who I admire and have had an opportunity to work with, surprising me
Yeah.
with telling me that they appreciate all that I try to do. So
It
it's really
seems like a
nice.
family on set. I mean, you guys seem close.
I'm a pretty happy girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really, our schedules are really hectic and sporadic, and it requires a lot of us, when you work in front of a camera
Mhm.
and when you work so closely with the community, because it means really big sacrifices in other areas of your
I'm
life.
sure.
The-
Your
you
personal
all know that,
life
right?
is out there, yeah.
And so to work alongside, particularly Brendan and Rob, who I work most closely with, and to just absolutely love these guys so much.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really special thing because it means that even when you were at work, you're still comfortable, you're still probably having fun, you have personal stories, and
Great team.
our relationship is
Yeah.
real.
Is that one of the things that you would say is a positive influence on your longevity with
Yes.
Channel 2 is having
You know,
Gotta
I
be.
never
great
thought
team.
about that, but that's
Culture?
a very good point,
Culture.
If it was a-
Amanda. It is. I mean, because I will tell you that, for those who know my tenure in television, they will ask, are you ready to retire? I'm never insulted by that, first of all. But I'm like, no, because I still enjoy it so much. And what an amazing place to work.
Yeah.
I mean, this community that
Right.
makes I could be all dolled up with hair and makeup, and
Like
someone
you are
will
now.
hug me.
Like she is now, listeners. Like she is now.
And then I can
Perfect.
be in, Whole Foods or Harris Teeter, and someone says, well, I didn't recognize you because you're in a ball cap and a Cooper River Bridge Run t-shirt, but I heard your voice, and I'm just as comfortable. I mean, We have such a special community. So
Agreed.
when we start talking about, our neighborhoods and our streets are full, it's because this is a pretty sweet place to live and work. Yeah.
100% agreed.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel like we're starstruck, right? I mean, I
No.
feel like it's more of a community. If you live here,
Right.
your family and your neighbor. I ran into Danny McBride at Target, and his little girl was, carrying him away to go get
Right.
a toy or what have you. I don't know. And I double took, and he's like, "What's up, man?" I go, "Hey, man, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Gotta go." You
Right.
just yeah.
Yeah. That is a very special part of our communities because we don't have big professional sports and those kinds
Right.
of
Yeah.
things,
Right.
Yeah.
that we just appreciate everyone who contributes, I think, to our well-being.
Bill Murray. I mean, I haven't hung out with
Yes.
him yet. I'm sure you have.
I've seen him so many times in Whole Foods, and it's always very funny. And he's
Whole
always
Foods.
the same. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to go grocery shopping.
We have to do that.
Everybody's got to go. Well, we're talking about that economy today, but anyways,
Yeah.
I just like and then Mount Pleasant specifically, I feel has a special, love to it, right? I mean, and then the economy in Mount Pleasant, I feel like there's so many small businesses and popping up left and right. Like,
Absolutely. Amanda and I were chatting about this, and I like to tell people that I see every part of this community every day. So I grew up West Ashley, and so I'm West Ashley very often because my mother is still West Ashley and my husband's mother's there. So there's nothing for me to pop in and go and, kiss them on the forehead or run an errand for them. And then I go to
That's
a gym.
awesome.
I teach bar.
oh, you teach?
I
do.
teach bar
So do
one
I.
day a week. Do you?
No, I don't. I'm lying.
You heard the word bar and got excited, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So me too. And on a Friday,
B-A-R-R-E bar.
that
not
other bar.
B-A-R.
I know.
So on Fridays, I teach bar at Pivotal West Ashley.
Okay.
And then, of course, I live in North Charleston, and we absolutely love it. We live right on the Ashley River. It's
Oh.
beautiful. It's a hidden gem. No one knows about it. I can't say anything
that
more
way.
about it. And then I work in Mount Pleasant, and then I spend most of my outside time in Mount Pleasant working out, because there is nothing that gives me greater joy than waking up when it's dark and early and going and sneaking onto that bridge. And there are about 20 of us who kind of know each other, and seeing the sun come up.
Oh, good. There is a run group. You are around people.
I am around
Okay,
people.
'cause
I am
was-
around
Safe.
people.
I was a little nervous about that. But
Yeah, I am around people. My
Mhm.
favorite yoga studio, 360, which is, a locally owned small place.
Shout
Hannah
out,
and
shout
Erica
out.
just love it.
Love
I
it.
mean, it's the best of all worlds to be
Mhm.
able to visit our communities.
Mhm.
We Mount Pleasant does things really well, and making small areas that may or may not go noticed still very nice and welcoming.
Mhm.
That's when you make people feel special.
Mhm.
The point I'm making is the entrance to Patriots Point, they did a little beautification
Sure.
project there. And it's also the entrance to when you're coming into Channel 2. And it's
Yeah.
much more open. It's safer for those of us who are walking and cycling and
Right.
those kinds of things. But just the attention to detail with the greenery in that area, it makes you feel welcome.
Yeah.
So well done, Mount Pleasant.
Yeah.
Some people may
Yeah.
pass by that and never see it, but for those of us who are on foot or on wheels, we appreciate that. It makes us feel special, and it certainly makes our community look better.
It's in the details for sure, and it's growing. There's more being built
yeah.
there, more green
Right, they're
space
doing
under the
more
bridge.
at the waterfront park.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
believe me, I know.
Oh.
I have the mud on my shoes to prove some of the changes
you
that are
have.
going on there, but it's so lovely. I mean, everyone should. One thing, if I had to say, if there's something that I would encourage more in our culture,
Mhm.
it's that we are out of our cars just a little bit more. If I could get people to
Yeah.
step out of their cars and be in our beautiful outdoors for about 15 to 20 minutes a day,
Mhm.
and build on that, that would be my hope for us as a community, because our community is so welcome and just so agreeable in terms of the temperatures. I mean, even if it rains, it's probably not raining at 2 stores down.
Exactly.
So,
Right. Normally, if it's raining one place, it's not raining on the beaches.
Right.
You never. You can always count on that.
Exactly.
You can count on too.
There you
can
go. You see
count on
how
two?
she did
Ah.
that? with that.
I did it.
She's quit.
She didn't. Oh my goodness. Speaking of count on two, well, I have kind of a quirky question. Do you have the first outfit that you wore back in '89?
That is an excellent question. That is an excellent
Because
question.
I'm trying to span your
wow.
tenure on camera, off camera.
Well, I actually have several outfits from at least 30 years ago when I had a dress on the other day, and my sweet co-anchor Erin said, "Oh, I like," and I'm like, "Honey, do you this fabric is older than you?"
Right.
Well, I mean, I
Right.
really do have outfits. I
Yeah.
don't have that outfit, but that's so interesting that you asked that question.
You got the
but-
'80s. That was a great time, right? In a wardrobe, I'm sure.
I did
We'll have to
wear
get some photos of you. We'll have to dig something up.
this dress that I wore my going away party from Channel 5. They gave me a huge, just such a lovely going away party. And the dress that I wore, and I've worn it a couple of times, and every time I wear it at Channel 2, I have the picture of, it was Bill Sharp and Debbie Chard and Warren Pepper and me in the picture that I still have this same dress.
That's good. That's good.
But I did also wear my cheerleader skirt the other day to my
Oh,
40th
my
high
goodness.
school
Okay.
reunion.
How about that?
Shout outs. That's great. Wow. Yeah, listener, she's in great shape. You got to.
I don't know about that,
oh
but
my
it's
gosh.
just, I didn't say that I was breathing properly while wearing it, but I did say that I put it on for a minute. So
my point there too is, you've seen a lot, you've been through a lot, you've told a lot of stories in different ways too, from the '80s until now.
yeah, I'm blessed. We say that so often now that it's really easy to not even understand what the word means. But for me, it means I had a very simple prayer in my life, and it was to be able to help people communicate. And I knew it very early in my life that it was what I wanted to do, in part because of the community of leaders I lived around. I lived in a real neighborhood where pretty much every house had an African-American teacher or educator. And I lived across the street from a woman named Sadie Oglesby. Miss Oglesby was born in 1900, and so her life had a lot of challenges, but her parents thought it important that she be educated. She attended Fisk University and then returned to Charleston years ago and taught at Avery School.
Oh.
She taught Latin and she taught English. And for whatever reason, this woman who was born in 1900 and this girl who was born in 1966 had an amazing friendship. So many afternoons I would go to her house and I would sit in her very dark paneled library and we would read to each other.
Oh,
And we did that for years. She passed away in the 1980s, and so she never saw me work professionally. But as an homage to her, and I have a podcast called Let's Talk, as you
shout
all
out, Let's Talk.
clearly
Look
know,
it up.
Carolyn loves to talk. But when my signature out is goodbye until the next time, and that was her signature
Oh,
out
come on.
for her show. And but the point is, it's all I've ever wanted to do, because I realized that if you have an ability to speak with someone, everything changes. Everything about, even if you can't travel to a foreign land, if you have the ability to have a conversation with someone who did, there's exposure.
Yep.
There's growth. And so I don't know that I necessarily understood that when I was a child, but I certainly realized it early enough in my life that it would ultimately determine who I would become and the kind of work I would do.
Dang. But you're more than just that, though, too. How many boards are you on right
A lot.
now? Yeah. You're giving your time.
To whom much is given, much is required. Not that it becomes a burden, but I try to associate and be a part of boards where I see where our missions are aligned and I'm committed to them. And so it doesn't feel like a burden. I really do. I enjoy them. I'm surprised that I have not talked about Mike and Kirby yet, our beloved animals, rescues.
Yes.
I'm a huge animal lover.
Mike and Kirby?
Mike and Kirby.
That's cute.
Yeah, so Mike is our
It's a great name.
pit mix. His birthday is October 2nd. He will be 14. And Kirby is our sweet little cat, very mischievous. If you want to see videos, I will show them. But
And
you need
so
to allot
do
time
these
for that.
cat and dog get along?
You want to see pictures? Oh, I'll show you pictures. Well, I'll just
I'm
sift
sure
through
they-
this.
yeah.
They are so in love with each other. You know how? So Rob
That's
Fowler, you know Rob Fowler.
Everybody
He's a
knows
guy.
Rob
he
Fowler.
works in weather.
Love
You've
that.
seen him before. He used to have
He
a
gives
mustache.
a lot of his
Been
doesn't have a
around
time, too.
mustache.
Hugo.
Okay.
He used to have a mustache.
So Rob Fowler will walk in the station every day, and we get a picture of Roe and Reed and
His grandchildren.
and
Oh.
sweet Addie, and then I pull out the real good stuff. Mike and Kirby. Let's see if I can find a quick video of them.
That's so cute. Well, you guys, as a team, give a lot of your time because, I mean, Fowler will even show up to my neighborhood golf cart parade,
He's
like
the best.
that is just amazing to me. And
Yeah.
I notice how many boards you're on. I see Josh and Hannah at
Mm-hmm.
just about every fundraising event that I go to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just amazing how entrenched you guys are in the community. Big fan of Hannah, by the way.
She's
My
a
wife is
sweetheart.
very aware of this. I watched back when she did the traffic. I was up. My commute is down the hall for
Right.
crying out loud. I was watching the traffic
Making
for
sure
my wife.
everyone else was
Yes,
okay.
exactly.
She's wonderful. She
So-
is a joy to be around.
Oh, is she okay?
It's
Good.
been-
Good to
it's
know.
been Kissing. It's just going to do it. But anyway, still talking about Mike and Kirby.
Yes.
Yeah, we really do, and I think that also again speaks to culture. So when people come into our station, we have a very very young staff.
Yeah.
They see the way that we operate, they see the way we communicate, they see
Mm-hmm.
the way that we get along, and they pretty much, as delicately as I can say, they step in line. This is how
Fall
we
in line.
operate.
Mhm.
This is how the wheel continues to move along smoothly, as if we all operate in this way, and I love it. I
Well, you
think
need
it
good
works for
leadership.
everyone.
You need good leadership. You need a good culture.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the crew is just as lovely as you guys are. I would imagine the guys I'm a producer, so I love the production
Oh, my
atmosphere.
goodness.
Storyteller at heart as well.
Yes,
And your whole staff is pretty cool, I bet.
they are
give a
amazing.
shout out to 'em if you want,
Yeah, we
behind the scenes.
absolutely, and we try to. And it's unfortunate that people don't realize. I think the work we do, what I do, sitting on the desk every night. I mean, it does take a lot of effort to put on
Yeah.
makeup every day.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
But still,
But the
it does.
real hard work
Yeah.
is done before I even walk in the building.
Yeah.
So I try every day to say something kind and
Mm-hmm.
not just to placate them, but just to let them know how much we appreciate their hard work, that it's not recognized by the thousands of people watching. People think that we've done all the work, but they are carrying the weight of the
Exactly.
newscast every day. So, oh yeah, we love our staff and we couldn't do without them.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of the producers and all of the people behind the scenes, the technical directors, our engineers who are on the ground, our sales associates. I
Yeah.
mean, it takes a lot. People walk into the station, they're like, this place is huge. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, there's a lot that's going on here that you don't see when you're looking at the screen.
Oh my gosh,
So-
so much. It's a whole well-oiled machine,
Yeah.
I'd imagine.
Well, on that note, I wanted to ask, from when you first started to now, how has storytelling changed? And also, if you could maybe talk about what you think is going to happen in the future with storytelling.
Wow, great question, because
Big one.
there are many, many changes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
don't-
I
don't-
remember.
we've talked about AI a lot
Oh
on
yeah,
this
Oh,
podcast.
oh yeah.
I'm emceeing the AI conference next Tuesday
that's right.
in Somerville. First time emceeing, I'm a little nervous.
Oh, that sounds really interesting.
Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you more
Is
about
it
it.
open
It's,
to everyone?
Uh-huh. AI for SMBs, the first of its kind, small to medium-sized businesses is what SMB stands for.
Very good. Okay.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well,
But-
you're right. When I walked into the newsroom, a television newsroom, we had typewriters,
Yes. That.
and I remember being so excited when we got computers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And people smoked cigarettes in the newsroom.
Yeah. People
Thank
And
God that's
so-
not a
Airplanes.
thing anymore.
When you went to a news story, you had a map, and a person could become very disgruntled, frankly angry, if someone had taken the map out of their car.
The map.
The map.
The map was important.
Map.
Yes.
Oh, and remember,
map.
I also can remember my excitement when MapQuest was created,
Yes. Oh.
because then I could just
Print
it on a printer and carry my 10 sheets, for my drive to Somerville with me. But then I had another, in more recent years, when we were still reliant on maps, I had this other really strong tool in my chest, my 6'5" co-anchor Brendan Clark, because nothing gave Brendan Clark more joy than to draw directions to, Brendan was doing sports at the time, to a football game on a paper. Someone would be heading out the building and he would say, "No, come here, let me draw this map." And he would clear his desk and he would draw. And then you're going to turn here, there's a tree. And then right around here, there's a convenience store. Then you make a left here. So, I mean, the changes are unbelievable. I remember having to go to the county library to do research for stories. Actually having to pick up a phone and have a conversation with someone to get research. So it's changed tremendously.
No Google.
But I think there's something to be said for what I personally, and it may not necessarily be the case for everyone, but I think it's a loss because there's a nuance, there's intrinsic learning when you have to have a conversation with someone.
Right.
You learn things just serendipitously. It comes out in the course of a conversation.
It's like today.
So I think that is what's lost in the industry. But I think because people are thinking in 15-second sound bites and things, they don't even notice that it's lost because they're onto something else anyway.
Right.
So I take it in stride. It's just something that we adapt. We just have learned to adapt to the pace of what the world requires.
But it's fascinating because you have to be on that pulse of that pace that the world requires, and you're doing it on a daily basis.
Well, some our 22-year-old daughter would say that I'm slipping at remarkable speeds, as a 22-year-old daughter can only say to their mother. She's like, "Keep up, Mom."
Carolyn Murray is not slipping. Don't let that go
I don't
out there.
know.
She knows
are you
news
kidding?
before anyone else.
You're slipping.
I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know. As many times as I have to call on our daughter or someone, like, help me with this or whatever.
Sure.
I don't like being that person. I try to keep up because I certainly don't want to be a burden to anyone. And I enjoy learning.
Yes.
I enjoy learning.
Well,
there's a balance.
Yeah, we remember life before all that. And then we still are learning more about it. Gen X was more of a curiosity, curious generation that knew how to live back in the day. No Google, knocking on doors, hustling and grit. And now it's like you can just Google anything. And now AI is coming around, making it even more easier. And I'm not complaining. We just have to use it.
You have to use it the right way.
The right way.
And
what is the right way? We have to figure that out.
Because it's human nature to seek ease and comfort.
Oh my gosh. It's so true.
So you have to be so disciplined and to not allow yourself to slip in a place where that becomes your brain.
Right.
And so, for those who are already naturally disciplined and are aware of, I can't do too much of this, though I like it. I like how it feels. It's making this part of my life easier. I think that there's always going to be a balance, and it's just being mature and determining how to,
learning about it, talking about it.
Because you could use anything to your advantage. I mean, I certainly like the advantage of using an ATM machine and not having to go into a bank. But every once in a while, I want to see the folks at the bank. Just,
right.
Make sure everybody's doing good.
That's so true. What else you got, Amanda? You had a couple questions you want to discuss.
Well, the last time I think I saw you in person, you were at a women's event and you were on a panel. It was for Charleston Women Magazine.
Oh, nice.
You were on a panel with Realtor Terry Haas and Kim Powell.
Yes.
It was out at the Allendale Farm.
Yes, that's right.
Salty Oaks.
Yes.
So I just had a few questions about, things that you can share for aspiring women entrepreneurs, women leaders, women in business, from your perspective and your tenure?
Yeah.
Well, that was a very special event.
It was.
Gosh, I didn't want to leave.
What was the event? Talk about the event.
It was a brunch that Charleston Women's Magazine put on.
Okay. Shout out
out
to
at
them.
Salty Oaks out in Awendaw.
Do they do a yearly thing?
They do.
They do.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
so check
they
it out
always,
for next year.
A panel of maybe 8 to 10 women. You spend a day there. And there is a farm, and you get to spend some time with the animals. And it's just, it's very relaxed, and yet still is quite comprehensive in its approach, because there's a nice meal and there's conversation, and then you still get the empowered speeches, and then there are cute animals. So it's quite comprehensive. I think my husband was the only guy there. So I'll tell a couple
He's
of
a smart
stories.
man.
Are we still good on time? Okay.
That's all. Yeah.
Okay. So that particular event, I will start with why my husband was there. It was because I wasn't driving long distances yet, and I still drive pretty much every day when I'm going to the bridge, but for the most part, my husband does all of the driving. So I have a driver.
Oh, I didn't see him today.
I know. It's because we have someone who's working on something at our house, and so he
Someone
needed
has
to be there,
be.
right?
Mhm.
So, but he will go back to the station with me tonight for the 11 o'clock news. So I'm going to slip this story in very quickly. I had some major health concerns in 2019 that came up. And the bottom line is I kept falling. So I was doing the bridge all the time. I wasn't tripping over anything, but I would fall. And I'm like, why am I falling? What do I do? I go to the doctor. Why am I falling? You're getting older, Carolyn. No, I'm okay. That's the first thing, right? But so, it's like, okay, well, let's monitor this. And I did. So I kept falling. Not every day, maybe once a week. I would lose my balance, or it just seems like my legs would give out. So to make a long story short, went to the doctor, and they determined that I had 2 conditions in my spine: neurosarcoidosis and neurofibromatosis. Neurofibromatosis are tumors on my spinal cord, and neurosarcoidosis is inflammation in the spinal cord, both things happening at the same time. They couldn't remove the tumors because they are actually connected to the nerves. They are part of the nerve. So March, I think it was March 17th of 2020, is when this determination is made, and I'm going to have surgery. And the next day or 2 days later, a pandemic is declared, and the world shuts down. And the next day, I'm hospitalized, and my husband drops me off at the curve at MUSC, and I don't see my family again until June.
Oh, my.
Carolyn.
Yes. Yeah. I was in the hospital that entire time. I lost the ability to walk. I was in a wheelchair pretty much until I came home, so that's why I still carry this stick, because I still have the conditions in my spine. It causes some problems with balance. And if I'm in a heel, I feel discomforts, but I can still do the bridge. I still practice yoga every day. I teach bar.
Yeah.
You wouldn't know. So sometimes, I am very careful, or I try to be, when I say, for some people, we are able, mind over matter, or I'm 100%. Able to do some things despite what my MRI will show. I don't know how. And I don't say that to challenge someone who might be dealing with some health issue and they can't do it.
Right.
I don't know why, but I just know that it is what it is, and there are some things I can do and some things that I can't do. I just live with it and wish everyone well with whatever they're dealing with.
Everybody's dealing with something.
Everyone's dealing with something. Everyone's dealing with something.
100%.
That was a big story as to why Jimmy was the only guy at that event, but he
a
was
big
the
story,
guy
but
at
it's
that
an important
event.
story. It's part of your journey, and
It
thank
is
you for
definitely
sharing.
a
Oh
part
my
of
gosh,
my
I don't know if
journey.
anybody knows that. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of people know, and so they'll
okay,
see
good.
this stick, and they're like, "Oh, you're still dealing with that." I'm like, "Yeah, and it's fine."
Earlier you said it was no big deal, and listener, she's wearing heels. I told you not to wear
She is
heels.
wearing heels.
She would not take her heels off.
But when I think about just to circle back to your original question, Amanda, I was so humbled to be on that panel with those women, and I felt absolutely inadequate to sit alongside them because they are doing really big things with their lives.
You
No,
also
they
are
really
doing.
are.
Oh,
I mean, Woodhouse Spa and Terry and her real estate company, and I can't remember the other woman's industry. But they are doing really big things, and I think that we all respect what we bring to the table and what we bring to the world. I think for me, why this feels so natural that in a lot of ways it doesn't feel like work.
right.
It just feels so natural to me. I'm like, oh, which is why sometimes I have a problem saying no to things because
Yeah.
it's like, oh my gosh, that sounds like so much fun, or I enjoy that person's company. Of course, I'll be there. Oh, what? I haven't slept an hour in 2 days? I'll get to it eventually.
You should probably check your husband's schedule too, see if he's available to drive you.
Oh, well, yes.
Oh, he's an
yes.
automatic available.
He's-
Oh, that's what she's saying.
He's pretty
Oh,
much an
oh.
automatic available. But at the end of the day, one of my favorite things about the community that we have in Charleston with women is I think back 30 years ago, toward the beginning of my professional career, I didn't see us doing the same kinds of things. But I think that overall society has changed. I think that women are in places where they are much more influential. They are calling the shots, really good ones. And I think that we have just become much more comfortable with not only being at the head table, but making sure that the people around the head table look like us, sound like us, share similar concerns, constraints with schedules, balancing, managing families and those kinds of things. I love myself a good man who understands that, yeah, she probably is the person managing the household.
Sure.
And my husband certainly does. And, he's my biggest cheerleader. So, it feels good. And I love that those kinds of attitudes allow women, such as the women who were at that event, to step into
Yes.
doing the kinds of work that they really want to do.
Yeah. To non-genderify the daily duties of the household is a huge thing, I think.
It
And
is.
it's changed now. I don't
It
think it's
is.
the same. I don't think it was like our parents.
Right.
I had good role models. My mom is a strong woman. My wife is a strong woman. And you could just see the difference. And I think that y'all are trailblazing for.
You just said y'all.
I did.
Michigan.
I know, right?
What
I'm from
happened?
Detroit. I
Growing
lived in
on 'em
Tampa.
now. Growing on them.
It does. It does. I think you guys are trailblazing that for the future generations. Especially here in Charleston.
Yeah. This really is a good community, and you really can call on anyone on any given day. You can see it through social media, women
Yeah.
supporting each other and genuinely supporting each other, not, supporting each other with just a hashtag and then turning aside and doing something else or whatever. I mean, really showing up for women. Because, it's not just something on a t-shirt. I mean, we really are stronger together. We're better when we help each other. Just because I have doesn't mean you can't.
Right.
It's not one or the other. We both can and be really happy. Yeah.
A hand up, not a handout.
There you go. I like that.
So is there any lessons along the way that you could give that aspiring? I mean,
Oh boy, I have every day there's a lesson.
I know.
Every single day there is a lesson. I had the amazing experience of, living here in my home community where a lot of my family still is, and a story that will actually air next week. But we are so happy that we will be together on Saturday. My cousin Ursel, is turning 110.
110.
That is amazing.
110 on Saturday. Born
We
in
need to have
1914.
Them on the podcast.
Oh my
Ours
gosh.
Isn't that amazing?
That is
Lives
amazing.
so
So you got some genes.
Getting
then.
some tips.
I tell you. So we spent an afternoon with her, and we were hoping this story would air tonight, but we've got some issues with our staff, and we weren't able to. It was again supposed to air tonight, but
Yeah.
anyway, but it will air next week, and it will be even better. But you will just be amazed at her vibrancy. You would think that this is a very fractured conversation. No, she sounds like she's in her 50s.
Wow.
I mean, still gets
bet.
her nails done, and
Wow.
it's just all the stuff. And so, at the end of the day, if there is a lesson to be learned, is that whatever your experience is, wherever your professional life and personal life takes you, try to find a little bit of joy and stay in that moment and appreciate what is happening in that moment, because it goes really, really fast. I've worked 36 years professionally, and I can recount a lot of stories, but a lot has happened, and I'm still as eager to go to work today as I was February 6th, 1989.
Crazy.
Well, it is for me. I mean, because what's the alternative? I could be sour about it, and then what a waste.
Exactly.
Why?
And
Might be
then,
negative.
And then why? And then what does that teach your
Yeah,
daughter and
exactly.
the community?
Yeah.
How are you making the best of your day if you're going to go through negative?
Yeah. Every day I try to find a little
Speaking
bit
of
of joy.
that, Carolyn, I was, as we're doing research over the past couple days, there's, one of the thoughts that came into my mind was that more good news. I want to hear more good news. I wake up in the morning, I turn on my podcast, news channels, what have you, and it's all just banging my head negative. Like people, it's just the world, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And you obviously know what I'm saying. You were the one there telling us all about it every night.
Was it?
For crying
Is
out
it?
loud.
If it bleeds, it leads. Is that still true?
No.
I'm not trying to point fingers, and I'm not. You guys are doing a great job. I love it, but
appreciate it. No.
but I think that curiosity. I think everybody kind of is like, who says what goes on TV, what goes on air? Do you push for the good news, or is it? You know what I mean? Like how?
How are
All
those
good points.
decisions
What a delicate
made?
balance.
Everything that the two of you are saying right now, your point,
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. So, of course, or very often when we go and we speak with groups, the sentiment is the same. People challenge us on it.
Sure.
They love this community. They want to hear about the good news. And I will generally ask, did you watch last night's newscast? Let's say half the group says yes. Can you tell me a good story? Nope. Can you tell me a bad story? Yeah. There were good stories there. Why don't you remember them? Why don't you remember them?
Good point.
That's human nature. Our brain is designed to remember that what might have put us in danger.
That's
It's
why
just the natural thing. And when
traffic,
people
if you're
tell me
driving
this,
by a car
I
accident, you
never,
can't help but
ever,
look.
I don't discount it. I understand it. We all do it.
Yeah.
Even when we walk away from the conversations today, what the things that will be remembered are, oh my gosh, you were in the hospital, this bad thing, your dad delivered you, whatever.
That was the good
I could
thing.
have
That's
said
awesome.
a million good things, and those things, it will be remembered eventually, but the thing that you might share with someone else or that you might think about, again, is that thing that seems extraordinary, out of the ordinary, a challenge, difficult, because we're human.
Right.
Yeah.
You've been doing this a long time, haven't you? That was a very pro answer right there. I loved it.
But it's just true.
So true.
It's just true.
Yeah.
And so what I do to try to control my thoughts, because I am
That was my next
very,
question is how do you ingest
I
all this
do,
and
because
not
otherwise
so,
it's not healthy.
Yeah.
And
yeah, exactly.
I said this to the two of you just during our
In the green
conversation
room.
in the green room. That our daughter's in psychology, and she is such a good reminder. She's not on social media and those kinds of things because, and I'm like, well, I've got to be. She's like, well, I know you do. You have a responsibility here. So just be more intentional with it. So I do not watch news before I step in my building.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't watch news. I am
Okay.
very intentional. I listen to podcasts and I'm not saying that they're necessarily zen and breathe deeply, Carolyn. They are informative. They may be, and I'm
Your podcasts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like Hidden Brain.
Yeah,
is
give
a
us some
favorite.
podcasts. I'm sorry.
Hidden Brain with Shankavidantam.
Hidden Brain, right?
Hidden Brain is my absolute favorite.
Okay.
And let's see. So
I
this is
haven't
my
found
podcast
mine in a while,
lineup.
so I was wondering maybe he can find
This
mine.
one is Psychology
Hidden
on
Brain.
Purpose, The Happiness Lab, Hidden Brain, Let's Talk. I gotta have that
have
there,
your-
which is
your
mine,
own.
and Oprah's Masterclass. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
Those are ones I
Oprah.
listen to. And right now, and I am an avid book listener, not necessarily
Okay.
because I tend to use them with my when I'm on the bridge. And so
Good
right
time.
now
Yep.
I am listening to
Wait for it. We got a bad signal here. Listen.
okay. It's a lovely one. Ketanji Brown Jackson,
Oh.
U.S. Supreme Court
Yes.
Justice, which was came out this week, and yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, that's
I have
great.
to add that to my reading list too.
It's exceptionally good.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's really good. And then I'll throw out some others. Hundreds of books. It's my jam.
I've been in the reading.
Darius Rucker
Oh.
is a favorite. His book is excellent.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Must read.
Must read. I could just go through them all day long.
Is he a
but-
cool guy?
He's
Have you met
wonderful.
him? I'm assuming.
We
too,
had
Oh,
his
you guys-
and also
bandmate on.
Among the Bros.
Jim Sonfeld. Yeah,
Jim Sonfeld was
we met
on
Jim
here.
Sonfeld.
Oh yeah.
Super nice
The
guy.
drummer.
Yeah.
I met Dean.
Dean.
Dean. Sorry, Dean.
Who's Dean?
Yeah.
Is Dean part of the band too? Sorry.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes. You just lost your car.
I did. I did.
You
I
are
did.
not going to be
He-
let
well,
back
he-
in the building.
Sorry.
He
So
got some points for saying y'all.
This is so good
Who's the-
while
hey,
it lasted.
hey, I get
He
to
had
edit
points
this, too.
for saying y'all, but then he just lost
Just
them.
lost it.
Oh man, what? I'm sorry. I'm still asking the dumb question here. What is he? Is he a drummer? No, he's not the drummer. Is
He's
he
a
the
guitarist.
Guitarist.
Yeah, he's the bassist.
He's the bassist.
Dean is the
Okay.
bassist,
Okay.
right? Yeah.
Did you know that, Matthew? Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. I'm bringing somebody else down with
Well,
me
the two of you will be together wherever
Yes,
you
or-
end up.
in the dunce corner somewhere. Amazing, Carolyn. Is there anything that you want to talk about as far as on your boards and the nonprofits that you are on right now? Is there an event that's coming up?
So I serve on a lot of boards. I serve on the Medical University of South Carolina Neuroscience Advisory Board, Charleston Animal Society, the International African American Museum. I am just literally coming off this month, first tee of Greater Charleston. We had our gala this past weekend. Neighbors Together, formerly Tri-County Family Ministries, and there's one more.
How do you spend all? I mean, good
Oh,
Lord.
and the City of Charleston Health and Wellness Committee.
She doesn't
Yes.
sleep, remember?
I don't sleep. I actually, you'll love this story. A few years ago, I knew I was dealing with sleep deprivation and was falling asleep as soon as I would get in a car or something. I mean, I just was not very
Another
good
good
company.
reason for your
Yeah.
husband.
Right.
Shout
yes,
out. What's
that is
your
exactly
husband's
right.
name, anyways?
Jimmy.
Hi, Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Love you, Jimmy.
Yes,
Haven't
Jimmy's
met
the
you yet,
man.
but thank you.
But so I decided to do as part of his story, which is always one of the secret, the advantages of being a reporter
Mhm.
is something that interests you. You get to investigate as a reporter.
Right.
And so I went to Roper and I said, I'm curious about my sleep hygiene. Oh, okay. Well, let's do a sleep study. So I spent a night at Roper with these electrodes on my head
Mm-hmm.
to monitor my sleep. And so I wanted everything to be out there in the open, the results of the study. So we're all mic'd up, everything's mic'd up. And,
Oh, you're
doctors
documenting
there.
this too?
This is all, this is for a
course.
story. hmm
I love it. I love it.
And,
You're putting your full self into
so-
these stories.
Yes. So the doctor says, I don't want you to drive home from this interview because I could see how sleep deprived you are. And he said, I'm certain you are falling asleep while driving. He said it should take about 15 minutes to fall into REM sleep, and it was taking me less than a minute.
Wow.
He said, you are going from like talking to sleep to REM sleep.
And that's not.
And I was.
That's not healthy, is it?
I
So,
was.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what are you doing? So how did you?
So
combat
I
this?
will
And-
just add this to what he said in terms of his directive and what he, advised. He said, Carolyn, I know what you think you are doing.
Mhm.
You think, but I've got to exercise. That's better for me, right?
Gotta fit all
I got to be, so I've got to
Mhm.
exercise. Like you're telling me to not do something and sleep when I could be exercising.
Mhm.
He said, I know it's counterintuitive. He said, but you are aging yourself by not getting
You
sleep.
hear that? That's how important sleep is.
Yeah.
That's your only takeaway from our
Not the only takeaway.
Yes, it is.
Sleep
it
is important.
But
Exercise, too.
So full disclosure, it's still hard for me to do it.
It's hard for you to grasp.
It is because just
Well,
naturally, I think any person thinks effort, movement is the healthier thing to do.
We're all going through it too. We're all
Yeah.
trying to
Go,
work
go.
hard. Got the kids.
Right.
Even if you don't have
The
kids, you
world
got the
tells you
gym. You got
that,
your
right?
friends.
Yeah.
You're constantly going. I got to go to bed by 10, 11 o'clock the latest, and I'm up at 6. So I'm getting okay sleep. I don't, but I need a new pillow, I think. Anyways.
New mattress.
But sleep and self-care is so important. So will you please self-care a little bit, Carolyn? I mean, as a fan
but
over
I'm
here,
I'm very
asking
honest. It's so difficult for me, and I work on it every day.
Yeah.
Like it would have been nothing for me to have still. I mean, on average, I probably get 3 to 4 hours sleep a night.
Come on.
Yeah.
But we had this conversation earlier. She gets her energy from being around people.
I do.
And communicating.
Oh, I understand.
I do. That's where I get energy. Like when I don't have it, and I don't know if it's being one of 6 or whatever. It
started
feels
FOMO.
That started
I
being
get
one of
FOMO.
6.
Yeah.
It could be a self, some sort of fear of missing out.
Right.
Like, we just sleep. I mean,
Well, and it's in part why my husband he comes to work with me every day.
yeah. No, I get it now. This is
and he
by
stays
design,
with me
for
all
sure.
day.
Yeah.
He's
Good.
there, and so he drives, and because he knows as soon as we get in that car, we turn on the radio before we make that right turn going onto the bridge, before we hit that first band.
Oh gosh.
I'm in another world. I'm dreaming of Willy Wonka and meeting Oprah and trips to Paris. I mean, I'm sleeping.
Yeah. What about your kids? One.
So we have a daughter who's 22. So proud of her. She graduated Johns Hopkins in May with a degree in Bachelor of Arts in Psychology and a Bachelor of Arts in French. Our little French speaker.
Oh,
She's,
oui.
yeah.
That's all I got.
I don't even have
silly.
that.
So silly.
But so she's working in research right now at MUSC.
My question is she sleeping?
She thinks there's nothing more important on earth than sleep.
Okay.
And it's funny that, this child comes from me. I'm like, how did that
Genetics
happen?
is weird, but it also came from Jimmy, too.
But
so
I also think
gotta give
it's the
Jimmy some
result of her observation, too,
True.
that I get none of it.
True.
And she's always trying to, she does it delicately, very gently. Mom, you have got to get some sleep. And when I didn't leave the house this morning, a chair rose up from her bedroom that I slept in.
This is today.
This is today. So,
Oh
this morning that I
Not-
did not
not
go and
typical.
do something
Wow.
before coming here. Yeah.
I'm telling you.
I feel like I've shared a little too much.
Oh my gosh.
But
And at the end of the day, I'll send this to you. If you want me to cut anything out, we cut it out.
No,
Yeah, this is totally,
No.
this is great. Thank you for your time.
I
Carolyn,
appreciate it.
sharing these
Well,
stories.
you mentioned Oprah.
Oh, dear.
This is a fun question. Don't freak
yeah.
out. If you could
Mention-
have any celebrity anchor,
Oh, that was you like that question?
Love
as
that.
you for a day.
Yeah.
Or,
I
or
interviewed
vice
Oprah.
versa.
I interviewed
You
Oprah.
did?
I
Yes.
did. It's one of my
She's
all-time
been
favorite
to
interviews.
Charleston.
So we're
a lot.
3 degrees from Oprah right now.
I met Oprah too.
You did.
Yeah, Oprah was wonderful.
You also met
Was it
Taylor
the Live
Swift,
Your
too,
Best
didn't
Life
No, I
tour?
did not miss. Yes,
Yes.
because the organization I worked for at the time received the Angel Grant
Oh.
when she came to Charleston. So we met her backstage for like a minute. We shook her hand. I have a picture to prove it. It's over my desk.
I believe you.
Well, and then you also know she did one interview that day,
Yes.
and it was with me.
Oh.
And there were so many sweet moments in that day. At the time, she had this penchant for white chairs, and she had white chairs brought in for our interview.
Come on.
So, you go through this crazy thing called life, and you have these people who you are just like, I don't know why. I love you so much. It's not because of your wealth. It's just because there's something about you, things that you say I would have said, or I laugh so hard. I mean, just like that there's a connection.
Mm-hmm.
And my Oprah Winfrey experience was that. I mean, it wasn't that I simply idolized her. I just understood her, and I knew, I had these thoughts in my head as a young journalist. Like, if I ever met Oprah, I know she would get me. And she did. And she let me know that she did. And we were as warm and comfortable around each other as as if I had known her my entire life. Of course, it's a natural quality that she has to help people feel that way, but it's not in the sense to just make you comfortable. That's just how she is. And so the interview was everything I wanted it to be. So we go after the interview. I'm on cloud nine. Literally, there's no way my feet
You're
was touching the
untouchable right
ground,
now.
right?
Yeah.
I go to sit down. They have me on the front row, and this man is sitting there. And as I'm going to the front row, I also meet Diane Sawyer, and I'm blown away because I'm a huge Diane Sawyer fan, right? So I'm telling this man, as you guys know, I love to talk. I'm like, this day has been an absolute dream. I just met
Best
Oprah
day
Winfrey.
ever.
I just met Diane Sawyer. I can't believe this. I'm on the front row, blah, 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 blah. I'm talking, and he's just enjoying all of this. We hug, I go on my merry way. I'm telling someone how I met the guy who, I'm sorry, what I didn't say was he's Diane Sawyer's husband.
Oh, okay.
Neat.
Do you know who he is?
No.
Mike Nichols. Yeah.
I
Mike
Googled
Nichols.
faster than you.
Mike Nichols. He said nothing.
Sure.
He just let you talk.
He just let me talk.
Of
He
course.
just enjoyed it. And it was just, really, really special. So
Well, yeah, it was your day.
it was. And I've had the opportunity. I have always, it's been my experience to meet people who genuinely, I'm pretty hard pressed to think of anyone who was not kind. And so that's why I'm very comfortable, regardless of the situation I'm in.
Yeah.
These 3 decades, I'm realizing people are just people. There's hardly anyone that makes me nervous.
Right.
President Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Charles Bolden,
These are people you've met.
astronaut. I've interviewed all of them.
Interviewed them all.
Supreme Court Justice, Sandra Day O'Connor.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, every single person. The only person who was somewhat of a challenge or seemed uncomfortable, but it was because she was dealing with a criminal trial, was Martha Stewart.
Oh, I bet that was interesting, and especially the time that you were interviewing.
Yeah.
These are some
But Billy
amazing-
D. Williams, that was just, oh my gosh, he was so charming. He was here. He was doing an art show, and took my mom and I out to dinner.
Come
I'm
on.
like, what?
Oh, that's
Yes.
cool.
I've had
No
some
way.
really amazing experiences. Yeah. And at the end of the day, people are just people.
People are just people. Well, yeah, you're pretty cool too, Carolyn. Meaning, the vibe you
don't know
bring
about
to the room is very,
Well,
very chill, very as a matter of fact. So thank you
I appreciate
again for being that, because I was a little imposter syndrome coming into this. I'm like, oh my gosh, come on, like what?
that. No, at the end of the day,
People are
those
people.
people are just people.
That's what you said. I like it. I like that a lot. Thanks for your time, Carolyn. How can people get a hold of you? Is there, you talked about social media. You have to be on it. I get it. Like, do you know your handles offhand?
I think I do.
We'll put them in the notes.
So,
I have. You mind if I share your Instagram handle?
yeah.
It's Carolyn Murray, WCBD TV.
There it is.
And then I think I'm just Carolyn Murray WCBD for Facebook, right?
Yeah, that's all meta. We'll find you from there.
Yeah.
And you're on TV every night.
And
Right.
I'm on TV every night.
That's awesome.
Yeah. No plans of
Yeah, on Facebook it's Carolyn Murray TV2.
okay.
There you go.
Thanks, Carolyn, for being on the show with us. I've always appreciate what you have to say. I love listening to you every day.
Yeah, Amanda was the one who brought you on. I'm
Yep.
like, what? Are you kidding me right
Yeah.
now? The actual celebrity gets to be on the show? That's awesome.
My
Yeah.
husband cannot function unless he watches the news every night. So,
Oh, he's a nighttime guy. Okay. Yeah.
well, the 6 o'clock and the
Well, that's
6:30
and which
news.
one are you on again, Carolyn? Remind me.
So I
Yeah, where can we
co-anchor
watch it?
the 4, the 5, the 6, the 10, and the 11.
What?
So my co-anchor at 4 is Aaron Morgan, and then at 5 it's 6. I call him 6'5", Brendan Clark. And
Is he tall? Is that why you call him 6'5"?
Yes,
tall.
Okay.
6'5".
A dumb question there. I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
I have actually I have
Yeah.
a million nicknames for Brendan, but my favorite for him is 6'5".
Okay.
And then Brendan and I co-anchor the 10 and 11, and of course our meteorologist for those newscasts is Rob Fowler, and yeah.
That's
And then I
awesome.
have a podcast,
Yes.
Let's Talk.
Yes.
And I love the podcast because it says everything about me. Let's talk. I love a good conversation for the reasons that I've already explained. And this happened organically. I did an interview and we wanted to make it a long format. In this age of everything just being so condensed, it didn't sit well with me and my natural way. I like a good, long, in-depth conversation because of the nuances, the things that come out that you didn't know.
Right.
And so that's why we started the podcast. It's not for everyone, but I think,
What do you mean
a
it's not
20
for
or
everyone?
30-minute drive and just hearing a voice and hearing a conversation, I just personally find it to be entertaining. And so
It was awesome. I
do
listened
it.
to the the new mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah, you interviewed the new mayor,
I
and
love
I haven't
I
heard
love
him.
doing it. Yeah.
I
I
haven't-
love doing
Which
it.
new mayor? The
Coxwell.
Yeah.
City of Charleston.
Yeah,
Yeah.
City of Charleston, new mayor.
There's all new mayors this year except for Mount Pleasant.
Yeah, Mayor
Right.
Hayes. And we
You know, that
interviewed
is
him.
one thing that I will say that did not come up in our conversation.
Yeah.
One thing that I have always appreciated and recognized in Mount Pleasant, of my local communities that I'm a part of, is the only one we've had women mayors.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mount Pleasant.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Linda Page.
And Cheryl Woods Flowers.
Woods
What are you doing in the next 10 years? What's going on? Huh?
On the
Huh?
bridge, of
Oh,
course.
well.
I will say this. This is something
She'd be
that's
mayor of the bridge.
kind of interesting. The bride, the beloved wife of our late mayor, Harry Hallman, Brooke Hallman, is my seamstress.
Oh,
And so Brooke and I have an amazing friendship, and we have for decades now, because I very often have to have things altered, and maybe once or twice a week. And, of course, we have a daughter and I have a husband. So anything, I go to Brooke. And so our little setup is I will go and I'll put something at her front door.
Uh-huh.
And then under the cover of darkness, I may pick something up as on my way to yoga. And it's
Sure.
just the sweetest relationship. I adore her. She's such a jewel in this community. I don't want to say the wrong age for her, but I think Miss Brooke is mid-80s
oh my.
and still dances and still works as a beloved seamstress for many a girl in Mount Pleasant going to prom. So she's quite a gem.
She's busy.
She's very busy.
She doesn't need a shout out then. She doesn't need it.
Love Brooke Hallman, yeah.
Oh, it's awesome. But you're in your podcast, you interview a lot of great people. So
I love it.
definitely
Right? It's a lot of
let's-
fun.
Isn't it?
It's so much fun. Charlemagne, the god.
Oh, yeah, he's local too.
Well, he's from Monk's Corner.
Mhm.
And I think the biggest radio show in New York now.
Right.
Yeah. But the list goes on.
Mhm.
I mean, you definitely see a tendency for me to interview people who have a connection to this area, but I'm certainly not limited to that, but it's easy. And
Yeah.
usually people want to talk.
That's what we like to do is talk to the people that live and work in Mount Pleasant. I mean, it's just a really cool area, and I feel like there's a lot of under the radar, just really cool people that live here and make change here. Like, and not everybody's from this area,
Right. Well, how
Yes,
did
we
you
know
end
that.
up here?
Yeah, I just visited the in-laws every once a year coming from Tampa. It's a 7.5 hour drive. We just popped up every
You cut
Easter.
that,
and
cut that commute down.
I did. I cut the commute down big time and landed in Mount Pleasant, etched right in on North Mount Pleasant with everybody else, and haven't looked back. Loved every minute of it.
He was smart too.
Yeah.
One of the first things he did was attend a chamber event.
It is. We jumped right into the chamber. So we do.
How did you know to do that? Or
I
did you-
build community like yourself,
Okay.
just to meet people, just to join a board and do things. That's what we do. It's what Roombo's culture has always been. Is
right.
build.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's interesting to me how people just don't know they don't know when you move to a new community
To seek out chambers
to seek
Yeah.
out chambers
or businesses
or business associations or whatever industry you're in, like
gotta put yourself out
marketing,
there. Yeah.
AMA.
Not everybody can do one knock and get an internship, and then do one tape and get a job. Carolyn,
Yeah,
okay,
it
we
doesn't
got
work that way for
hustle
everyone.
out
Some
here.
people
All
have
right.
to network, and
That's funny. That's good. Well, I've been very fortunate. So I've been very fortunate. But I agree with you and I respect that. And I think perhaps it needs to be said more often, because we know that it works. And so sometimes when you know that it works, you don't say it because you assume everyone else does.
Exactly.
And people don't.
Exactly.
Yeah, people don't.
If it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Right. Yeah.
So thanks again. Awesome conversation, Carolyn.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. Thanks, Amanda. Good work.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah. Always a pleasure to co-host. We miss our presidents right now.
They're busy being president.
Busy being presidents. So the marketing team had to step up and do this lovely conversation with you, Carolyn Murray. Thanks to our sponsors, the Charleston Radio Group. Thank you to Matthew for engineering. We'll see you on the flip. What do you say? What's your ending? I'm gonna steal it.
So my ending for Let's Talk is goodbye until the next time.
Goodbye
That's
until the next
Let's
time.
leave it at that.
Lovely. You say it this time.
Goodbye until the next time.
All right.
Well done.
Strawberry.